dose of only cans, that's your only man. So sit back, relax, that's the only plan. Grab yourself a Guinness or Peroni, man. Welcome to the show, this is Only Cans. Cheers! Alright lads, how you doing? I'm Dara Curran, aka the Guinness Guru, and this is Only Cans, episode 5. Before we get into this absolute bloody belter of a podcast, two things quickly. First things first, merch. Merch drop. Merch drop will be a good few people saying, what's the merch anymore? Merch. Touch wood, I'll have merch within the next, I'm saying 3 weeks. See, the thing is, I'm getting these samples. Ooh, yes, very professional. Samples sent, and they take about 60 million years to get sent, and you need to send them back and say, I want this different, blah, blah, blah. Merch, touch wood, in three-ish weeks. What are you going to have, Dara? Asked nobody. To which he answered, hoodies, t-shirts, and possibly some form of headwear. Very original merch collection. So the Guru merch will be back, touch wood, within 3 weeks. Second thing, shut the fuck up about the Patreon, will you? We're not paying it, we don't care. The Patreon, again, massive thanks to whoever has signed up to the Patreon. You are paying money so I can make a podcast, and when we get back to life, when we get back to that normality, if the fucking ever will be, you'll be paying towards trips and stuff like that. So Guinness Guru trips, not like personal trips, not just me to go to fucking Alicante with the lads, but that would be good. Jesus, talk about a tangent, talk about a digression. Basically, if you signed to the Patreon already, thanks a fucking million. If you're considering signing up, it's $5 a month. You get an extra podcast called Extra Cans every week. And when the merch is out, it'll be 15% off. If you're not considering signing up to the Patreon whatsoever, sorry for wasting your last 2 minutes. On to the podcast. In a weird mood today, but I kind of always get like this when I'm talking by myself, because, I don't know, you feel like an absolute, like, I'm not talking to anyone, I'm talking to a camera and a phone, but no one is hearing this. So it's always a weird vibe, man. And you feel slightly lunacy. No, there's no word that's going to work there. You feel like a lunatic when you're talking to yourself and you're wondering, is this real life? IT GALZ, Jenny and Lindsay, the IT GALZ. If you're unfamiliar with them, I feel like probably 70 to 80% of my audience will know them, even more. Not really sure. The IT GALZ, basically, it's a podcast. They've been running it for, I don't want to hazard a guess, maybe 2-3 years now. It's huge. The way my demographic is 96% male, I would presume their demographic is 96% female. These girls are fucking adored amongst the general female population that I have spoken to in Ireland anyway. I'll go through the backstory of how I know them. Luckily, I actually know them before this, so it's not just randomly asking the IT GALZ to come on my podcast. But yeah, IT GALZ, they do a comedy podcast, Jenny and Lindsay. They talk about all things girly. I don't want to diminish it by pretending that I know everything they talk about. Do you know what girls talk about? They're very open, sexy stuff, willies, who they're riding. It's just an open podcast, and I hope they don't listen to that part because that's a terrible intro. But that's the IT GALZ. I think they're absolutely hilarious. I've known them now for a couple of years. I wanted to do something with them for yonks, as I probably said those exact words in the start of the podcast. So this is it, lads. And last thing, it was recorded over Zoom. I said to myself when I started the podcast, no, I want to do all these in person. It's just not possible for now. This was recorded over Zoom, so some of the video and audio probably a bit dodgy. But sure, listen, shut up, you gobshite. Get on with the podcast. Enjoy, lads. I now welcome on. I've been trying to do something with these guys for fucking yonks, I think it's fair to say. We're finally here now. The dynamic duo, the bitches with riches, the women who love rimming, Jenny and Lindsay of the IT GALZ. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. It GALZ, really shit GALZ. Bounce your tits like you're the bitch GALZ. Suck your dick like you're the rich GALZ. Boom. Come on, shake on the room. All right, ladies.
Hello.
Hi, Dara.
Have you thought about getting into rap, or
is that the next
just
step?
a hidden talent?
Well, if you guys knew anything about this podcast, you would know that the opening of it is actually, and I have to be honest, kind of inspired by you. It's a little bit of a West Coast 90s with me rapping over it kind of vibe. So you can go back and listen to it after.
Oh, we will.
Well, definitely.
Sure.
Definitely inspired by you guys. What's the crack, girls? I'll get into the backstory now, but what's up?
Nothing much. Just
Nada.
living our lives being podcasters.
Yeah.
I like that you're repping your own merch.
Same.
I know.
Yeah.
Podcast crew.
Thanks.
Podcast
Merch
queens, yeah.
out
We're
in a
just,
few weeks.
I mean, I feel like everyone who we're talking to is like, any news? Like, we're
Yeah.
desperate for news, but no one has news. I'm like,
Yeah.
can someone have a fucking affair or something so we can
Literally.
talk about something?
Yeah.
Because I was like, because I'm going to go into the intro now, so I'm probably going to be talking for the next 2 minutes. So I was like, I better let them talk for a second. But knowing there's not going to be anything to say, but just being nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
polite.
So, right, I'll quickly get into the intro. So, or how we know each other. So, you guys are friendly with my missus, me board, me ma, Kat. In 2019, you guys asked myself and Kat to be part of your Vicar Street show, to do the Mr. and Mrs. segment. I was thinking, yeah, grand, might be a little bit kind of frisky, but like knowing you guys, your sort of your vibe, I was like, grand, bit of crack. Rock into the room backstage and see none other than James Kavanagh, and I was thinking, oh, here we go, this chap is an absolute dirtboard, we all know it.
True.
So I'm like, right, I know what this is going to be like. To say the questions were raunchy would be an understatement. My personal favourite being, how big is Dara's dick? Straight to the point.
No, Pete. You probably don't even remember.
No.
No
So
beating
now
around
we
the
can't
bush.
remember what we do a lot of the time.
I think that's like our memory doing us a favor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even better than the question was the fact that like your crowd of screaming hyenas / girls was kind of like, because Kat had to write down on the sign, like, obviously, how big is my penis, and that you could see the crowd was just kind of like waiting for
For it to like say something like fucking 14 inches or something,
Horny
and she turns the
girls.
sign around and it said like 7 or 7.5 inches, and the crowd like, oh, very good.
I mean,
So-
in fairness, Dara, like you were like a piece of meat in a shark tank that night. So like at the end of the day,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
she could
yeah.
have said 2 inches and every girl would have been like, ah!
But also, you're like 6 foot fucking 11.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
we were like,
Safe to say.
how big is that dick? How big is that? Like everyone, like,
Yeah.
and when our fans come together like that, it's just like the horniest space I've ever been in. You can
Yeah.
smell the fucking horniness.
I mean,
It was-
it's like, you know,
yeah,
when
go
you're
on.
at when you're at a football match, not that I've ever been to one, but I can imagine at a football
Yeah.
match, like the testosterone in the air, it's like the equivalent of that, but for women at one of our shows, you know? So like, if you're like a good looking guy on stage, who by the way, whipped his top off, do not act shy on this podcast. So like, if you're going to do that on stage, yeah, you're going to have the hyenas. And
we knew you'd be able. That's the
Yeah,
thing. We knew you'd be
exactly.
well able.
No, don't get me wrong.
Don't get me wrong, I was loving every second of it, and I've been to Vicar Street 4 or 5 times. I thought I had seen a show. I had never seen anything like a crowd that you guys draw in. It's absolutely, the only word, wild, and it's just unbelievable.
So fun.
Absolutely unbelievable.
Dying to get back.
So that's the backstory. That's how I know you guys. Now, unfortunately, a lot of guys listening to this will know you for a different reason. I wouldn't know any numbers, but I'd say a lot of, because the way your demographic is probably whatever percent female, mine is literally 96% male, and a lot of them, they might have only heard about you for the first time back in November when the Movember controversy came up. I suppose I'll give my, because this thing, a lot of lads will hear it and that's the first thing they'll think of, so we'll just get it out of the way, park it, then on to the good stuff. So my point of view, I kind of wrote something down because I didn't want to talk about it for fucking ages. Where did I write it? So it's kind of different because I know you guys. It's, if I to be honest, if I heard a little context, like it was going around on Twitter and stuff, and you just heard the 30-second clip and the way he's are obviously laughing along and blah, blah, I'd probably think the same, fucking pair of idiots, what the fuck are they mess, blah, blah, blah. But I know you guys, I know that's your style of comedy, and at the end of the day, it's a comedy podcast. If you make 100 jokes, 99 of them hit, one of them doesn't hit. Again, just my opinion. Yeah, maybe in hindsight you might look back and think probably not the best thing to joke about. That's my opinion. That's not your opinion. But like that, I do understand the angle of the joke. Like when I heard it, I was listening to the podcast, I went back and listened to it. I do think it's a funny joke, and they're probably lads going, what the fuck's he saying, a funny joke? I got the joke, and basically I also understand lads being like, oh, you can't joke about mental health, but at the end of the day, they don't know who you are. They don't know that it was a joke. If you guys want to comment on it, go ahead. If you don't, we'll just move on.
See, the thing is, you know, with these controversies that continuously are happening about it, you know, everyone's getting them. I will never not, like, I mean, this joking and the idea of offence is so personal. So, like, you know, for example, lads, they can laugh along and fucking have a great old time until they are personally offended. And I will never give a fuck about one person's personal offence, especially when you can deconstruct any joke back to a root of reason. So, for example, the other day I shared something from a live stream we did where I was wearing this kind of ballet style top, and I was like, oh, I'm a little ballerina, I'm going to go home and puke. And I got a message from a girl, a big long message saying, I've dealt for years with an eating disorder. It's like, you know, out of mental health, eating disorders are the biggest killer. I find it really offensive. So if you could please just be more considerate when, you know, joking about that kind of stuff. And I wrote back and said, you know, ballerinas and from ballet is known to be like super, super toxic in regards to like, you know, bulimia and eating disorders are bred very much through, you know, that dance. You have to be a certain weight to be a professional ballerina, etc., etc. And so that joke is rooted in truth. And as humans, we learned through humor. So, for example, that Movember joke was rooted in the truth that from all the messages that we got, obviously there's this like, you know, big hullabaloo on Twitter, but all the messages that I was getting was like, oh, I didn't actually know that it was for mental health. I thought it was for testicular cancer. Exactly our point, that the kind of performative action of Movember a lot of the time is just for men. And that's what we were seeing it being showcased on social media. The conversation over the moustache. I saw barely any men coming out and saying, look, I struggle with this. I struggle with the idea of trying to provide for a family in future when I'm not really, you know, going up in the career ladder. I struggle with the fact that I compare myself to other men. I struggle with the fact that I can't drive. I struggle with the fact that I'm weaker than my friends, or whatever the fuck you are dealing with. So I just cannot entertain the fact that all these men were saying that we were fucking doing so much for men, like ruining mental health, slagging men have been trying their fucking hardest for so long. We've spoken about that tirelessly on the on our podcast. And also, shut the fuck up, you fucking bastards, going on about how you care about mental health so much whilst attacking two girls that you've previously never heard of. It's so redundant and mind-numbingly boring, and you have no point. And I don't understand the point. And like, I mean, you're saying there that like, you know, you thought the joke, or maybe like it wasn't the best. And it's not about like, you know, 99% of jokes hit and some don't. I can watch a whole, you know, Ricky Gervais stand-up show, an hour and a half. I love Ricky Gervais. He's amazing. Yeah. Some jokes that he will say, like, I really appreciate his humor. Some jokes sting me because they're personally like, you know, particularly the ones about kids, because I'm a mother, they sting me. However, someone else can laugh. And you being offended doesn't mean that we cannot joke about something. I think everything can be joked about.
Yeah, and I think that, like, you know, there is this thing called facetiousness too, which has existed within comedy for years. A lot of comics rely on facetiousness, which is dealing with, you know, taboo or heavy topics lightly. And I think that, I mean, you know, I will correct you, the Movember scandal didn't happen in November. The Movember scandal happened 3 weeks after the episode aired in end of December.
Yeah, so someone obviously just saw it and then
where was the heat? Where was the heat for 3 weeks? That's what I'd like to know, because, you know, first of all, it was an episode that comment was rooted not in, you know, the belittling of Movember or belittling a charity. It was rooted in a stereotype which I have seen being joked about by male comics for years, which is the Mobro, which is a guy who does Movember and all he does is obsess over his mustache. And you, like, for these guys online to be, you know, first of all, sending Lindsay and I, which, you know, I don't take very seriously, but, you know, on paper it doesn't look great for the activists of the Movember campaign to be sending Lindsay and I rape and death threats. Don't think that's a good look. But also, you know, these guys have joked about that forever. I shared an IGTV of a male comic who did a whole skit on the exact same thing that was released 2 weeks before our actually, no, sorry, I'm wrong. It was released in the middle of Movember, that had nothing, it had like 30,000 views. It had nothing but accolades from men below being like, fucking class, this is so funny. I hate those.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And it was hilarious. Don't get me wrong. I pissed myself laughing at it. I was like, he nailed it. You know, also there's another guy big on TikTok, you know, what's his name? Shane Byrne. He did a really funny skit of like guys walking through the forest of mental health on like making a skit over like the commodification of like mental health awareness by some people jumping on board to further their careers. Like, you know, in order to have like, you know, intelligent comedy, sometimes you have to touch upon topics that will, of course, will not appeal to everyone, but like, what does it matter? Like, I don't find it hilarious when I listen to like, say, a Joe Rogan podcast, who I also really like, but sometimes his comic, like his jokes are like, fucking Kim Kardashian looks like she's wearing a diaper with her big fat ass. Like, it doesn't really tickle me, but like someone finds that funny. So I'm not going to try and like take away his career and threaten him and call him X, Y, and Z and think that that's okay. It's just the irony of it just irks me.
It's just unintelligent. And I mean, jokes and comedy and humor, first of all, if we're talking about mental health, you need to be able to laugh in order to be mentally well. So that's one thing. But also, comedy, it's not light fun, everyone's okay and we're all not offended and having a little laugh and a cup of tea. They're called punchlines for a reason. So if you can't get it, don't listen, don't laugh, move on and find something that's more kind of that you can fucking laugh about, because everyone is entitled to laugh and we got a load of laughs for that. And I, again, you know, don't care that some people were offended, because I actually don't believe that they were. I really don't. And if you were, get a fucking life.
I totally agree with what you said. One of the first things you said there, Lindsay, and we'll stop shouting on about it in a sec, but you said about Ricky Gervais. He literally jokes about cancer, rape, everything, and like that, and especially lads. Like, you'll be sitting around with a bunch of lads, you'll laugh at, like, lads can say they haven't, but they've laughed about rape jokes, cancer jokes, whatever. It's until you're, say, like, I don't know, your ma then gets cancer, and then someone tells a cancer joke, all of a sudden it hits you differently or whatever. So yeah, I don't think it's fair for lads who, especially all these lads who are just happen to be probably doing Movember or whatever about mental health, and they just hear this out of context clip and just say, oh, and just jump the gun. It's and Twitter, as you know, is so bad for it. Just jump the gun and say, what the fuck are these? So yeah, I'm on your side. I thought it was blown way out of proportion, and yeah, we can park it there, I think.
Yeah, but either way, like I still get messages today from people saying like, found you through that cancellation, love your podcast. So thanks again to as well people for
being our interns,
spreading the word and you know, giving us attention, because that is all it is. And like, you can try and pin us to a corkboard of being these like hateful dumb bitches. We're not. So you're just spreading the word.
Yeah. And that's the thing, I wasn't really even arsed talking about it. It was just, I knew, and you guys kind of agreed, male audience, they're probably going to hear, who fucking knows the girls who did the fucking... So that's it, lads.
There you go.
Yeah, like to those guys, as a final point, like if you still feel really angry at me and Lindsay, I will challenge you to open up your male WhatsApp group and look at the last funny video you got sent that you forwarded on, thought was fucking hilarious. Some Chinese man riding a chicken. I've seen it all from my boyfriend's phone. So like, before you come for me for a very, very blown out of proportion, facetious joke that you've probably all made at some point, maybe take a look at your own WhatsApp group and see the kind of toxic shit that goes on in there and see how harmful that can be. Again, not trying to stop it, but you know, just it's one, you point the finger one way, there's 10 pointing back in you, and that's all I can say about it. But anyway, moving on to lighter topics.
Moving on. Right, done, out of the way. So this is a new segment. I've recorded these fucking episodes. I don't know which is going before, but I think this is going to be a new segment. It's called Coffee Pints Sesh. My version, the only cans version of Fuck, Marry, Kill. So I'm going to give you 3 names. you're going to tell me who you want to go for a coffee with, aka not much crack, who you want to go for a few pints with, glass of wine, whatever you're into, and then who you want to just go on an absolute rip-roaring 2-day long bender with. So here are the 3 names. Rob Lipsett, Conor McGregor, Wayne Lineker.
Ooh, that is a good one.
Such a good one. Okay, I'll have to like...
I'd go for coffee with Wayne Lineker because he's so fucking creepy looking.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
he's
he gives
so
like,
creepy
if we're
looking.
going to talk about the ick, like that man is the ick personified
Yeah,
for me.
he
Like,
is.
We'll talk about the ick.
yes.
Okay,
So like,
cool.
Quickly, Wayne Lineker he's actually Gary Lineker's brother, but he owns like clubs and all in Ibiza. Everyone's seen him on Instagram. Owl lad with white hair, rides a load of young ones apparently. So that's the coffee.
yes.
You got Rob Lipsett and Conor McGregor.
Talk to me.
Oh, it's a hard toss up. I mean,
Okay,
like,
I'd go for sesh with Conor McGregor and I'd wear like a body cam.
yes. Oh,
And I'd do like a takedown and it would be like an RTE documentary. This it gal went into a sesh with Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
This is what he does. And like, I mean,
if it's one or the other, like realistically, I'd feel like a fucking dope if I chose Rob Lipsett for the sesh over Conor McGregor. Like, not even just to be like endorsing like Conor McGregor as a person. I don't really care that much about him, but he is like an icon. And also he has these like secret seshes. Like no footage, as you said, ever comes out about them. But he's known as this like massive sesher and like all this crazy shit's happening. So I'm like, give me a bit of that. Like Rob Lipsett, I've got a very, very, very high chance of running into him in some club at some point. So you know what I mean? He's
Fair.
like the 6 degrees separation. Although I'm actually quite close. I've actually only 1 degree of separation with Conor McGregor through Evan. So maybe it could
he's
happen in my
photographed
future.
for him before. But yeah, no, I think I would like to, like he's so hidden, Conor McGregor. He gets away with fucking everything.
So I would like
So
to
I'd
see
like
one of those.
for him to like not be getting away with it.
Yeah, I'd like to see what the fuck goes down.
It would be like a journalistic
Yeah.
sesh.
Where actually me and Lindsay would probably just get fucking out of it and forget.
No, I would fully be like hyper aware.
Yeah.
And, no, he'd probably catch me fucking doing it and beat me up or something. But Rob Lipsett, I'd be like, there's no, I don't know. I just find him a bit boring. Like,
Yeah, I like Rob. I mean, I think he seems like a sweet guy, but like, and from all I've heard, he's really nice. A lot of people like have met him, and he's a sesher too. He definitely likes to sesh, but
yeah, we all saw that front page.
Yes, but I think
Speaking of, that got no fucking
that got no
attention.
heat. Yeah, come on, guys, where's your Twitter
with the
Twitter
Coke.
heat? Yeah, where's your Twitter heat for that?
Speaking of the sesh, this is a segue into how to approach a female at the bar, right? So I'm on a session with the lads, and yeah, talk to me. Like, do I, if it's you, obviously I'm not generalizing every woman on the planet down to you two ladies, but if I'm in a bar, you're in a bar, do I just go up to you, ask buy you a drink, pick up line, what's going to work, what's not going to work?
Okay.
It's the value I'm trying to give the guys listening.
It's a hard one because I do feel like men have a hard time. Here's our, being nice to men segment. But like, I do feel like, in the kind of climate at the moment, it can be hard. I can understand why it's hard for guys to like cold approach women at the bar with Tinder and all these kind of things. It's not as like normal. In Ireland, I don't think it was ever like a really normalized thing. So like, the kind of the real cold approach going up to a woman.
Or even like, nowadays, men are like, oh my God, a predator came up to me in the bar and asked me out. Like, what the fuck?
It's like he was 4 years older than me, whatever. But like, I think that there's certain things that are classic for a reason, and I think that there is something very charming about a man who buys you a drink.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's not done that often, can I just say. I think it's like and it's also a nice thing. What I will say is, if you're going to buy a woman a drink, like, don't have like really high expectations. That's the unfortunate, like, it is a bargain. It's also like a tenner, so like I'm sure you can afford it. But like, buy the drink, have a chat, but like, it's annoying if a guy buys you a drink and then like thinks it's like buying you for the night. Like, she's probably on a night out with her girlfriends or whatever, so, but it is like, it's a very easy way to be like, I'm interested in you. And it's slick.
What you can do, if like, you can kind of go up to a group of gals or whatever, and kind of, if you see someone that you're interested in, and like chat to them for a couple minutes, I guess you'll kind of get pretty straight on. I mean, girls do this weird thing I've noticed in bars where like, they will just, I don't know, I feel like they act a lot. Like, so I've seen like guys go up to a group of girls and the girls are like looking like, oh my God, like I'm just so wanted, like leave me alone, when actually they could maybe be interested in the guy, they kind of ostracize the whole idea of it. So like, go up to a group of girls, and just like I wouldn't have a pickup line, I wouldn't have any like kind of pre-made lines, but I'd go up and just kind of like see if they're sound or not, and if they are and they look like they're up for a bit of chatting or whatever, then be like, here, would you like a drink? But again, it's not like you're not paying for,
it's not like a definite.
Well, yeah, you're not like, I mean, it's not the cheapest fucking sex you're ever going to get. Like if you think that buying a drink is going to get you the ride, then I'd just probably go on another website and try and find a ride.
Right, let's say
you buy the drink and then you're chatting away, whatever. Like signal wise, is there anything a guy can? So he's gotten her the drink, they're chatting. Like, is it just a case of winging it and just seeing where it goes, or like can you think off the top of your head? Is there any signals that if a girl does this, not like, oh, she's up for the ride? I just mean,
she interested.
Because I've seen a lot of guys chatting to a girl, and I'm pissed, and you can still see it, and we've all seen it, and she's like, you can just tell she's not into it, but he still seems to think she is.
Yeah.
So is there any clear signs that she is into it?
Yeah, for me, it would be like, you know, say for example, you're doing the classic, like maybe you and a few of your mates are gone up to this one group of girl because like you fancy this one girl, right? And maybe your friends are talking to her friends. Me, the number one biggest signal, and this would be like, for me personally, and I've seen it, if the girl is like giving you her actual attention, like and doesn't really seem bothered by her friends, if there's this kind of whole like looking over your head, still being like Lindsay, this kind of thing, still like not giving you like eye contact, look at their body language, you know, like are they kind of like now there is a bit of the chase, as Lindsay said, and that's always going to be there, but you can tell when it's a flirty chase and you can tell when it's like an avoidant chase.
running away.
Yeah, so like I think if you've kind of got her one-on-one and you're, you know, having a good conversation and it's kind of flowing, like if she doesn't seem that bothered with her friends, and she'll make it obvious if she is, she will be very much like, Lindsay, do you want to go for a cigarette, Lindsay?
Yeah.
I think Sandra's outside. You know, these kind of things are clues for you to just like, okay, maybe she's just not that into me right now, you know. And then I think it can still come back to you though, as a guy. I think she could be like that, and if you play it cool and walk off with your friends, she could totally come back up to you. It's just that kind of gray area where like she's being a bit like, I'm not really interested. How you play it then, if you're too needy or if you're all over her or if you're not picking up those cues, that will just make a girl be like, sorry, no.
I'd be a big fan of the, like, now thankfully I haven't had to do this in a while.
Yeah.
But I used to be a big fan of the the initial hello, or you're chatting away, then kind of not like trying to be smooth around, but not be all over them.
Yeah.
Go off with the lads for a while.
Yeah.
If you happen to see her again, I think your chances are a lot better than if you're just from the second you meet her, you just stay with her, and in your mind you're like, I need to stay with this one because if I don't, she might get with someone else or this, that. I'm a big fan of leave her for a while, let her come to her senses or whatever, and then if you see her in half an hour, she's giving you the eyes, whatever, it back in, and you know you're all right.
It's like kind of, sometimes I've been in a situation where there's like initial ownership over like, you know, okay, now we're talking, we're getting on, so let's hang out for the whole night.
That's
like,
what I mean.
Yeah, like I you know, when I met my guy, it was like at a house party, a small gathering, and it was kind of like, especially post lockdown, it's going to be fucking wild. So people are going to be so you know, over like stimulated and stuff. So like I think we had spoken, and I could tell he liked me because he kind of touched my arm when he was talking. He was like, you know the way, so he kind of like was putting his hand on my arm. So then I was like, okay, that was a great signifier, because it's not like grabbing my fucking hoop. It's just like just my arm, and in a kind of nonchalant way of like, oh, I'm talking, but that kind of instant, like, you know, that was a signifier. Okay, I think he's interested. And then like my sister's fella came over and kind of like, you know, was like, hold on, and he was chatting to him. So I kind of left.
Yeah.
And like then we kind of found each other again. So it was very organic. So I think that's definitely, and you can do that in the club or in the pub or whatever.
Yeah. And I think it also shows like it's a nice sign for a girl, like, especially again, if it is in the context where she's with her girlfriends, like, especially if you just got to the pub, you just don't want these stragglers like clinging on to you, like,
and your friends can be giving out like, why is he around? I thought it was a girls' night.
Exactly.
So they could be getting extra pressure from the fucking bitches.
So like I think like, you know, there's a lot of, you know, there's good stuff in that, like, you know, buy the drink or whatever, make the approach, maybe fuck off for a while. If you see her again, you know, ask
I was literally going to say fuck off.
Literally fuck off, because it actually makes the girl then be like, where's that guy gone?
But I
mean, you know, girls do like that out of sight, out of mind thing. Like if you had a nice little chat, little flirt, you will be like, is he still here? You know, that way you're kind of like, where is
But
he? And
also, like,
it's independence as well, that you have your own mates, you know,
well,
that
fuck
way.
off, but don't be like, I mean, you know, I've been at nights out where I'm pissed and I'm chatting to someone who I know, and like we're having a great chat and it's so deep and meaningful, and we're talking about that fight we had 10 years ago, and the next day I'm like, oh, I remember her eyes darting across the pub to try and find someone that she knew so she could escape my grip. You know, so I think
it's harder when
if you're going out getting, like, trying to hook up, just go easy on fucking boozing, because like it's gross when like a fella's coming over to you and he's like,
especially if like he approaches you at the start of the night, you like him, then he comes back to you half an hour locked. Yeah, it's like, okay,
and then they can't get it up most of the time, so you're sat in their fucking box room and they're fapping away this like,
you're like, hold on, I know I've got a Viagra here somewhere.
Just drink.
Pause for 1 sec, because you
brought me onto another topic that I'll go on to now. I just had to put my camera on and off 1 sec.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was going to say this later, but you brought me on to the old floppy dick situation.
So
of course we did. Stumbled across that. Here.
Sex, erectile dysfunction. Talk to me, like, if it does tend to happen. I'm asking for a mate, by the way. It does tend to happen a lot to lads, like the old whiskey dick, as we call it. Is it? Let's say it's not to do with alcohol, and you're just getting with a guy, and he just, it's all going grand, like he has a rock on, and then like 10 minutes in, it just fades away, and he just can't get it back, and he's going into the bathroom, he's trying to do everything he can. Be honest, are you thinking like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Are you thinking he doesn't like me, or are you just thinking, it's alright, it happens? Honest thoughts.
It is really common, so I think maybe in my younger years I would have been like, he can't get a boner for me or whatever, but it is really common, and I think guys, no pun intended, need to stop giving themselves such a hard time about it and start fucking just like going to the GP and figuring it out, because like at the end of the day, dick has to be hard, vagina has to be wet, but most of the time the vagina is, like, you know, that's not an issue. Lube is fucking slathered on. So like all women have to do is get wet, but that's the easiest thing if it's not fucking happening, to just like throw a bit of lube on, spit in the fucking hand or whatever. Yeah,
I think a lot of the time when this happens, women are just more so like, almost like, you know, not to give you a further boner killer, but almost our maternal instincts to kick in, and we're kind of like, it's okay. And like some girls can be very like overly mammying men, and I understand how that could like not exactly arouse them, but I think it's, as anything, like we're as like awkward about it as the guy is, and what is quite sexy, honestly, is when a guy just kind of owns it and is like, oh fuck, you know, it fucking happens, who knows, you know, that way. But you know, it can happen where the guy is like, after the, as Lindsay said a few minutes ago, he's like fapping away the fucking soft dick. It's like, okay, let's just take a break, maybe let's watch some YouTube videos,
or like apologizing profusely, being like, oh no, honestly, call up 3 of my ex-girlfriends, call up 3 of them and ask them how much good sex we
I would literally last hours, I swear to God. It's like, you know, so as Lindsay said, like if it's something that's ongoing and is like, you know, really impacting your relationship or your sex life, like maybe go to the doctor. It's obviously a hard thing to treat because like they don't really know the cause of it, but a lot of it can be mental, or sometimes it can just be physical and you can take a Viagra, you know. So I think that it's not that big of a deal, but it's only as big of a deal as the person makes it. So you know,
destigmatize flaccid penises. That's what I say, honey.
I can just hear a massive sigh of relief from every lad listening.
Yeah. But I think like
a
male kind of tendency is that like, if you're sick or whatever, like all my male friends fucking never go to the doctor. Their leg could be hanging off, their eye is on the floor, and they're like, no, I'm absolutely grand, I'll just buy a glass eye. It's like, would you not just spend the 50? So like, if it's really kind of happening quite often, and like it's really like you're not having good sex, and it's like it's fucking, and then it can just like snowball and become like an obsession, and you're like hate sex and you don't want to have it, so you're just
I'll be totally
honest with you. I went through, now luckily it hasn't happened to me in the last couple of years, but I went through, say when I was single, before I met Kat, I was whatever, one night stand here and there, bit of this, bit of that, and I'll be honest, like, and I've never said this, but like I really struggle with it. I just, even with drunk, sober, I just like that stage fright or whatever, and you just, the moment comes and you just like, oh, it's just not going up. And I think something I learned was, like you said, Lindsay, to just own it, or sorry if it was you who said it, Jenny, but you just own it and just say, look, it's not going up, we'll chill for an hour, see what happens, and if it doesn't happen, sorry, but
sure, listen, we
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, fuck shit,
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
get the fuck up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I think like a
So-
lot of women, like I've rarely heard of a like mature adult woman literally being like, I went to a guy's house, we were having sex, his dick went down, and I never fucking want to see him again. You know, it's like if you still have a nice
Yeah.
time with the guy, it like doesn't really come in. Like women tend to be quite forgiving about these things, and I also think that, you know, on that, if you have to realize that from what I know about like is it ED it's called, it can be a lot of it is mental. So you might have just had one instance where you literally did have whiskey dick and that's never happened to you before, and now you've made it a complex in your head and you're like, I can't keep it up, I can't keep it up, I can't. So be aware of
It can be an anxiety thing.
yeah,
but like
but
totally.
be
like,
aware of like how you talk to yourself about it as well. You know, that way, like I think that you have to like, don't psych yourself out. Don't think it's always going to happen, because like, I mean, I remember I had a time where I had a panic attack like years ago, and then like the months after, like anytime I got slightly lightheaded, I nearly put myself back in a panic attack because I was like, I'm having another one, you know, that way. So you have to kind of like, you know,
Yeah.
get your head fixed around it. Don't psych yourself out too much. It literally happens. I'd say it's happened to every single guy that I've had sex with, easily, you know, that way, moments or fully. So it's not that big of a deal, you know.
Yeah.
There you have it, lads. You're all good, lads.
right, girls, quickly want to go over Tinder. Another thing, Tinder / Bumble, all the fucking dating apps. Another thing plenty of lads listening to will be flat out on. Their fingers will be bollocks. Quickly, like, pick up line, or a bit like going into a bar. Pick up line or just how's it going?
Well, first of all, I think it starts from the bio. So I would like, sometimes the bios can be so serious. Like they can be like, you know, age, coffee lover, blah, blah, blah. Like how much can you love coffee? There are so many coffee lovers on Tinder when I was on Tinder. It was like, okay, we got it. Coffee. We all love a bit of coffee in the morning.
Maybe they want another coffee lover in their life though, you know?
Yeah,
Maybe
I know.
so.
I just immediately think of coffee kisses and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just a little quip in your bio, like a kind of like, I like to tap dance with my sneakers, or something stupid that's kind of like shows a little snippet of your personality instead of the kind of like 27, works in marketing with all the little emojis, likes to keep fit, you know, that kind of stuff.
But the worst thing though is when a guy has a funny little quip and it's just not funny. So like, have your girlfriends maybe look at your Instagram bio and like approve it. Like everyone at least either has a sister or a girlfriend, and like ask them and be like, is this corny? Because for some reason a lot of men can't tell that their Instagram bio or their Tinder bios, should I say, are extremely corny. Another one on top of the bios is your picture. Like, guys, get your picture sorted. If your first picture is a picture of you and all of your lads in tuxes, arm in arm at the rugby gala, like, we don't know who you are.
It has to be a single picture first, because
Yes.
it's just like, we don't
You're
have time.
literally covering all my topics
Okay,
here, so
good.
just
Yeah.
keep going.
We
Yeah.
have a lot to say
Keep
on
going.
this.
Yeah, because girls just like don't put time. Like I look at my friends when they're swiping, like my gal pals, and they are like,
Yeah.
like they don't pause. So like if they see like a group of lads, they won't bother because they don't have that fucking time to see what one they're going to be writing to. And also like, unless all of your friends are less good looking than you, like you're putting yourself in a kind of awkward position.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I feel like guys try to leapfrog off their good looking friends.
Yeah.
Which is so cringy because you're like, oh, please be the
seen
blonde
it.
one. Oh
yeah,
it's
for
that
sure.
one. Of course it's that one.
Another
you know the way?
another one that I really wouldn't be into would be like the rugby action shot picture. Like, fair play, that will impress men. We're not here to be impressing men. You diving for a rugby ball while making this really weird face with one of those head straps on.
Yeah.
Now, it might attract a very particular type of girl, and if you want that kind of girl,
It's
you're
called
like,
a scrum cap.
oh, it's okay.
Strap.
If you want this girl, he's like, yeah, he plays for like rugby, and like, fair enough, maybe do it. But like, most women are just gonna be like, ugh, he's one of those rugby lads, you know, that way. So another one, you know, posing with exotic animals in Thailand. Big no. Don't be petting the thing. And our biggest one.
Oh yeah, the granny.
Or I was going to say the kids.
Oh yeah, the kids. Like I'm obviously a ma.
Yeah.
So I was going through it when I was on Tinder, and it's like every fucking bastard who has a picture of his kid, he's like, by the way, it's me nephew.
Yeah, they always say, not my kid.
Not my kid.
It's like,
And then I have to say, are my kids. So it puts me in a fucking awkward position. But also like, and sometimes they'll try and do it in a cutie kind of way, like not my kid, but love him to bits. Me little nephew, fucking whopper thing.
Yeah.
Like, we're getting him a Christmas present. It's like,
but it's like
just don't put in the fucking picture, man.
It's because they're looking for the like, oh my god, no way, you take care of your nephew. That's so cute. Like it's like, but it doesn't really work. You know, just have a good. You know, definitely have pictures of you and your friends. You know, but just don't make it your first picture. Also try and make sure that like you're of equal hotness. Don't like have some smoke show of a fucking friend in there and you're going to be like, oh, for fuck's sake, I have to be hanging. I want his friend. I like,
also,
you know.
We get it.
Yeah.
You met Conor McGregor.
Oh, yeah.
Well done.
None of that. None of that. Don't be doing the fighting stance. You know when men do this?
Everyone who gets a photo of Conor McGregor is doing that. And it's like...
Yeah.
Like we know you're not friends with him. You know, you fucking followed him around, spent all your money to go to Vegas and are like salivating that you fucking got to meet the prick.
You paid the VIP ticket price.
Right.
And no doubt, like no granny pics.
Quickly, how long then, let's say they've managed to actually get her to talk to him, how long until you can just be like, right, I don't like talking on Tinder. Do you want to talk on WhatsApp? How many messages we talking?
I would
straight away.
I'd talk for like, I'd get a vibe, you know. I'd like see how much you're talking. Like, do you have like a common interest? Because the thing is with like giving your phone number away or, you know, Instagram is like you are opening the floodgates to like this person possibly, you know, contacting me all the time. So, you know, you want to make sure you have good banter. You want to make, you know, have your own screening process as well. Like, you know, women do, you know, is he crazy? Is he talking about his ex? Like there's things that women will be like, you know, I think a lot of the time like that will come up organically, but like I'd talk for like a day or so maybe and then be like, hey, what's your Instagram? I think an Instagram is a nice moment. WhatsApp can be a little like, oh my God, I'm giving my number out.
I think it's kind of like I don't think that giving the number out is as serious as it was because we have the ability to block and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, true.
And I mean, but like you are on the phone, like you're on Tinder, you can only use Tinder on your phone. So like it doesn't need to be so like I need her number. Definitely like figure out if you actually get on and like if you're laughing and like I would sooner before the like whole number, I would like be thinking like, does this person eventually want to kind of meet up or fucking is she actually into like if that's what you're looking for? Because I feel like a lot of people struggle on Tinder with just like the constant writing and never actually fucking meeting up. So sometimes I would just focus on the one platform and not be worried about like also having each other on Instagram and WhatsApp and all those other things because then it can kind of like break up the conversation a little bit.
I think another good tip that Lindsay mentioned, what you know, when you were single, and that always made me be like, oh yeah, I can see it. That's so attractive. Is like, don't be afraid of a voice note moment. Like that can really lure a girl in. Like if you're sending a voice, like keeping it to text, I really don't like long. Some people might like this, but I hate the big paragraph and then I have to send a paragraph and then my paragraph has to equal your paragraph. Like it's really nice, like to get, you know, some people can be weird about phone calls as well. So if that person isn't really loving a phone call moment, like send a voice note. You can way more get your sense of humor across in it. Like hearing someone's voice is nice and you just will connect a little bit more. So, and I think it's like, again, an underplayed move by men. Some men will just be like pen paling. And it's just like, let's actually get to know each other.
And I think the important
totally
thing
agree.
is,
big fan of the voice note as well.
Yeah.
Go on,
and
Lindsay.
I think, the important thing is like actually meeting up because what's the point of being on Tinder? So like, I think as well with texting and stuff like that, especially in lockdown, like there was, when I was single on Tinder, I felt like I'd match with people and we'd be like talking because there was nothing else to do. But like if we ever had met up, like we'd said it all. I knew where the bastard went to primary school and I knew all this shit about him. So like kind of you want to just like I think keep it light in text form. So there's actually kind of shit to get to know about each other if you do meet up. That's
plenty Tinder info for you lads. We're going to finish with, I don't know if we actually ever, I was supposed to explain what the ick meant at the start, but basically the ick is just something gives you the ick, something a guy does gives you the ick and it just kind of turns you off. I'm fair to say?
Yeah, it's basically, it's
guy or girl. Guys get the ick.
It's guy or girl, but like the way that I would describe the ick is like, have you ever watched Maury, the chat show, and where people have these like ridiculous fears of like gherkins and like cotton balls and they're like running out of the room when Maury brings in a cotton ball? Like that's the ick. Like it doesn't make sense on paper. Like some of the stuff you see is like girls being like a man running with a backpack. It's like, of course, like that doesn't make sense. And that's the point of the ick, is that like for some reason this thing that is, you know, other like in the world is seen as completely normal makes me kind of go like,
Yeah, it's that. That's
know?
kind of. I remember
Yeah.
watching. Dave McSavage did a video, who we love. He did a video on his Instagram, about a girl that he was seeing, and like she was kind of on her phone over in the side of the room, and he was like just doing something on the computer. So they were having like a moment of kind of silence, and where they weren't like entertaining each other. And then she looked over at him, and he looked over at her, and she goes, "Hi," as in like,
She's like,
"I'm trying to be cutesy."
He said she was like, hey.
No, she was like, "Hi." And he said that something in him, because she was trying to be this kind of like Disney girl where I'm like acting.
Yeah.
And I'm kind
Yeah.
of being like, oh,
It's
look,
it's
we didn't
irrational.
talk for a little
It's
while.
nearly unexplainable or something.
Yeah,
It's
but
like
it is
something
that.
makes you just go a bit. Ugh.
Yeah, it's irrational. It's like an irrational fear. It's an irrational ick. Like, of
Right.
course.
Well,
you
we're gonna play.
Yes.
I couldn't think of a better name. Ick or nah. So you're literally I'm gonna say a lot of things.
Okay.
You're gonna say ick or you're gonna say nah, because we're nearly out of time.
Yeah.
No shiting on about it. Ick or nah.
Okay,
I
and
think
ours
I've
could be
8
different.
things here. And I want Jenny to go first, Lindsay to go second.
Okay.
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 He lives at home with his mom.
Nah.
Nah.
He's a vegan.
Ick.
Ick.
He orders he orders a cocktail when he brings you to a bar.
Nah.
Nah.
He can't cook.
Ick.
Nah.
He watches porn every day.
Nah.
Ick.
He doesn't pay for everything on the first date. Honesty.
Probably ick.
Yeah, ick.
3 more. He can't drive.
Ick.
Nah.
He's saying that because you can't drive.
I can't drive. I mean, yeah, it's handy if they do.
Yeah.
I would prefer, but it wouldn't give me the ick. Like,
Yeah, fair enough. He goes to the gym 7 days a week.
Ick. 7 days is excessive.
nah.
Last one, I think it's pretty important. He doesn't get on with your friends.
Ick.
Ick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, that wasn't the last one. One last one.
Okay.
He's hairy, big hairy arse, hairy belly, hairy ears.
Nah.
Nah.
I like hairy. men.
yeah.
I like all
That's a funny
levels
one.
of hair. Like, I like hairy men,
Yeah.
non-hairy men. Like, it really doesn't bother me.
I just like a man who owns himself.
Yeah.
I prefer a man hairy and just owning it rather than a man who waxes every fucking part of his body because
Yeah.
he's so mortified that he has hair. Like,
It's-
Yeah, if he's naturally a hairy bastard, just own it.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Any man who owns
Anything.
their weight, their size, whatever the fuck they are, like, is so hot.
Yeah, it's sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And last question to finish it off,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
not an ick question. One or the other. Lindsay go first, Jenny go second. Big dick or big wallet?
That's hilarious.
Oh my God.
Honesty call now. Honesty
fuck,
call.
Let me think. Big wallet.
My immediate sense is like, how small is the wallet, and then like, how small is the dick? Like, what is my compromise here? Like, am I talking micro wallet and micro penis? Because then I'm thinking wallet.
I would take the big wallet because, like, sometimes, like, I don't know. I think a massive dick is overrated.
Yeah.
could-
I guess, you know, like a Cinderella slipper dick. You
For
know?
me, you get big dick energy with a big wallet. Like, if you are a man out there fucking working and getting that coin, getting that bread, that's big dick energy to me. So regardless of what's swinging in between your legs, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Moral of the story is, if you don't have a big dick, get a big wallet. If you don't have a big wallet, hopefully you have a big dick.
Get a dick extension.
You know,
Yeah, dick extension. Well, there you go, lads.
Yeah.
Words of wisdom from Jenny and Lindsay of the IT GALZ. We're going to have to do it again because I didn't get through half the topics.
Yeah.
But
We are
girls,
going to get you on
I'll let
X
you
Gals
go.
as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Again.
Okay.
We would
Sounds
love.
good to me.
Yeah, more. You're great. It was so fun chatting. Thanks so
Yeah.
much.
thanks so much, Dara.
Thank you very much, ladies. And yeah, we'll have to do it in person. You can
Definitely.
only do so much over Zoom. We'll do it in person. We get a big bag of cans and
Yeah.
we'll see you in a few minutes.
That'll be
Right,
the crack.
lads, that's been the IT GALZ. Absolute pleasure. Pair of fucking legends. Good luck.
Thanks, Dara. That was so good.
And there you have it, lads. The IT GALZ. Again, massive thanks to them, Jenny and Lindsay. Friends, very good friends of mine. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you did. Just before we go, again, plug, sell high, buy low. Patreon. If you like the podcast, if you don't like if you listen to that last hour and thought, well, that was a waste of my life, then obviously don't sign up to the Patreon. If you listened to it and thought, that was alright, I wouldn't mind hearing more and supporting the making of more, patreon.com/The Guinness Guru. €5 a month. Extra podcasts, call extra cans, 15% off merch drop. Touchwood will have the merch within 3 weeks. Merch drop. Anyway, you're losing the plot, lad. I know, yeah. You do know you're losing the plot. Yeah, I fucking know. Thank you for watching / listening. I have been Derek Hearn, aka The Guinness Guru. This has been Only Cans episode 5. Merch drop. Touchwood in 3 weeks. Good luck.